This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, live this week. I've been doing a lot of the Dr. Sem Yankees show pre-recorded, as you know, many of the last weeks. It has been a busy time, but busy is good. Hey, let's make today a great day. And how do we do that? The way you make your day great is to find the good in your life and to celebrate it and to perpetuate it and to pay it forward. Remember, the amount of good that we receive is most often a result of the amount of good we give. When you give love, when you give goodness, when you give kindness, it comes back to you, I believe, in greater amounts than you ever gave. So celebrate the good. If you can't find any good in your life, work to create that good by doing good things for other people. Make today a great day. It's time for some Yankees talk. Wow, we are 7 games into the Yankees season, and I don't know what to think about this team. There are some good things. There are some not good things. The Yankees have won more games than they've lost. The Yankees have won both series they played. But they've won 4 and they've lost 3. One of the concerns, and we will get to this, hopefully, there's so much to talk about, but one of the concerns was the starting pitching. Was the Yankees' starting pitching depth enough? I, at the start of spring training, was very excited about the Yankees' starting rotation. Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, Nestor Cortez, Luis Severino, and Frankie Montas. That seemed like a heck of a good 5. Except Frankie Montas has been hurt a lot. Luis Severino has been hurt a lot. Nestor Cortez came out of the World Baseball Classic very early on because he was hurt, and Carlos Rodon got hurt. There was a lot of holes in the Yankees' starting rotation, and they really weren't addressed. And some of those holes were self-inflicted, and we'll get to this. The Yankees traded a bunch of young pitchers to the Oakland A's to get Frankie Montas. And Frankie Montas is basically out for the year because he's injured. So the Yankees gave up some of their pitching depth for a pitcher that hasn't contributed basically at all to the team and won't contribute, most likely, until very late this season or maybe ever. That wasn't a good deal. So you had 5 good pitchers and it went down to 4. It's a sad reality that Luis Severino, for all his talent, is hurt a lot. And the Yankees didn't address the fact that it looked like there could be some holes in the starting rotation. And as I said, some of those holes are self-inflicted wounds. Now, I know people are not super high on Jordan Montgomery. Again, Dr. Sem, how many times are you going to talk about Jordan Montgomery? Wouldn't he look a lot better right now in the rotation than Clark Schmidt? And what did the Yankees trade Jordan Montgomery for? Oh, that's right. Another player who really hasn't played for the Yankees, a guy who is injured again, Harrison Bader. When will he come back? Who knows? And remember, Harrison Bader is a player who has played in fewer games every single season of his career, absenting, obviously, 2020, the COVID year. But every year, his amount of games played has gone down. And yet the Yankees, knowing that they were short on starting pitching, because they had to acquire a pitcher named Frankie Montas at the trade deadline because they needed starting pitching, gave up a starting pitcher, Jordan Montgomery, to get a player who was injured. Then he came back. We'll give Harrison Bader credit. He came back and was terrific in the postseason. That's what everybody's hanging their hats on. Did you see how good he was in the postseason? Did you see how great he was? I also saw him make a couple of errors in the field for a guy who's supposedly a great defensive ball player, and I think he is. But if we're going to give him credit for a couple of big home runs and some big hits, we also have to note that his defense was not all that spectacular. Didn't he run into Aaron Judge? Anyway, that's what they all hang their hat on. Wasn't he great in the postseason? Wasn't he amazing? Did the Yankees win the World Series last year? They didn't. And you know what? There have been lots of players who've been very good for a postseason series or so. That doesn't mean they're great. And he hasn't been great this year. Why? Because he's injured. He hasn't played a game yet. And when will he play a game? Nobody knows. Oh, early May. He'll come back. He'll be back. Do any of you have any confidence that a player who's always injured is going to come back and not get injured again? This is the player the Yankees gave up some of their starting pitching depth for. Wasn't like they traded their pitcher, a better than average pitcher, Jordan Montgomery, for a guy who is going to be in the lineup all the time. They traded their starting pitcher when they need starting pitching and have needed starting pitching for a guy who doesn't stay on the field and hasn't stayed on the field. Oh, but he had a great postseason. Okay. Brian Doyle in 1978 had a great postseason. He hit something like 419. That didn't mean Brian Doyle was a great ball player. He was great in the 1978 postseason. That did not mean he was a great ball player. Harrison Bader might be very good, but the fact that the Yankees traded a left-handed starting pitcher, and I didn't even get into the fact that Montgomery's a lefty. Great Yankee teams are most often or very often built around solid, quality, left-handed starting pitching. And the Yankees got rid of a solid left-handed starting pitcher for a guy who's always injured. And now, here we are. The Yankees are 4-3. But 2 of those 4 wins, half of their wins came in Gerrit Cole's starts. So Gerrit Cole is an ace. You know, he hasn't gotten the credit he deserves for going out there every 5th day since he signed that huge contract with the Yankees a few years ago. I mean, he has been reliable, knock on wood. He goes out there and pitches. And he keeps the Yankees into games. Last year, he set the Yankees' all-time single-season strikeout record. I mean, Gerrit Cole has not been super unbelievably dominant. And there have been a couple of hiccups along the way. He gets a little bit out of rhythm or whatever, and then he doesn't have a good game. He sometimes hasn't come up big in the biggest moments. But by and large, Gerrit Cole has done exactly what he's supposed to do. He goes out there and he pitches and he keeps the Yankees in the games. And he's off to a good start here in 2023. But take away his 2 starts and the Yankees aren't 4-3. Take away his 2 starts and the Yankees are 2-3. Now, you can't do that, of course. His games count, of course. But what it does is it says that absent of Garrett Cole, the Yankees don't really look all that impressive. Like, there's concerns. They are good. They should be good. But there's a lot of holes. And I guess my concern as we start the program today, what I'm trying to say is that there were concerns that were just never addressed. Now, they got Carlos Rodon. It's not the Yankees' fault that Rodon got hurt. That was supposed to be one of the guys who shored up the starting rotation. And if you have a starting rotation of Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon, well, that's a pretty good start. In fact, it's an excellent start. There might not be a better start than that. That's two of the best pitchers in baseball. And Nestor Cortez has proven that he's a very effective pitcher. I mean, he's done it now for a season and a half. It's no longer a fluke. So then you got three good guys, really good guys to start your rotation. But the concern was Frankie Montas, who the Yankees had to know his medicals. As a fan, I don't know his medicals. I had to assume he was going to be a good quality fifth starter. But the Yankees had to know that it was unlikely that he'd be able to pitch all year. They had to see those things. And then they've rested and they've put a lot of hope and faith in Luis Severino, who, again, my goodness, if he was your 3 or your 2 or even your 1, when he's healthy, he is phenomenal. But the problem is he's not healthy. So the Yankees had to know that the pitching depth wasn't there. And that's the concern, because when Garrett Cole hasn't been pitching, the Yankees necessarily haven't been great. And their bullpen has been up and down. Like Ron Marinaccio got the loss in yesterday's game. Clay Holmes has looked good and looked bad. Michael King has looked good and not really. Hasn't really looked good yet. And again, it's early, but the fact that there are these holes shouldn't be a surprise, because all of this was readily apparent from the very start of the winter. All of this was readily apparent at the end of last year. And one reason the Yankees don't have enough starting pitching is the fact that they traded away a good starting pitcher. Go to Start Spreading the News. Let me put the banner up here. Let's get that banner up. There it is. We'll take this one down. Okay, go to Start Spreading the News. There's a great article I wrote yesterday called Perspectives. And in that Perspectives article, I compare Harrison Bader to Jordan Montgomery. They've been basically, if you look at WAR, equal players in total value over the last 2 seasons. But Harrison Bader has been a below average hitter if you look at a stat called OPS plus the last 2 seasons. He's been a below average hitter. But Jordan Montgomery, if you look at a pitcher stat called ERA plus, has been an above average pitcher. So the Yankees traded some of their pitching depth, and they needed pitching. That's why they got Frankie Montas. Remember, they needed pitching. So they got a pitcher at the trade deadline. But they traded one away at the same time. Made no sense. But anyway, a lot of people argue that it was a great trade because Bader has so much talent and he's so great. But if you look at OPS plus, he's been a below average hitter these last 2 seasons. And if you look at ERA plus, they say, well, the Yankees just gave up a mediocre to poor lefty. No, Jordan Montgomery's been slightly better than average. Bader, slightly below average. Montgomery, slightly above average the last 2 years. And if you look at WAR, go read the article. Montgomery has been a hair better, but basically that means they were equal. So the Yankees have some of these self-imposed wounds that are already showing themselves to be concerns. And these were things that were self-evident last year, and they weren't addressed. couple weeks ago, we talked about the fact that the Yankees are baseball's richest team, the most valuable franchise by billions of dollars. The Yankees increased their value last year by 18%. They're worth, according to Forbes, $7.1 billion. I think the next closest team, I never have these numbers right in front of me because I focus here on the program, but it's the Dodgers and it's like 4.8 billion or something like that. Yankees have billions of more value than the next closest team. And as I recall, we could go back and watch that show, or you could go to Forbes and look it up. I think the Yankees' value is worth the fifth and sixth most valuable teams combined. I mean, that's how far the Yankees are lapping the field. They have the financial wherewithal to not have to make trades based on long shot hopes. Hey, Harrison Bader's really talented. Hey, Harrison Bader could be great. Let's trade a good pitcher to get him in the hopes that he defies all his career norms and actually stays healthy. And we won't really have a backup plan if that doesn't work. That's the problem with the Yankees, is they don't have the backup plan. And instead of saying, let's go out and get a real good center fielder that's not a long shot to stay healthy, they say, let's take the long shot. Franchy Cordero is the Yankees' DH, at least sometimes, right? And when he's hitting the ball, he's hitting very hard. He's looking good sometimes. But again, he was just released. He's been released from a couple of teams. This is the player the Yankees are saying, like, yeah, we'll take a long shot. Like last year, Matt Carpenter. Let's take a shot on this long shot guy. My feeling is the Yankees shouldn't ever have to do that. They should go out, address their needs, and put the best team on the field. There shouldn't have to be worries like this. You know, I'm wearing my Yankees sweatshirt from 2009, from the 2009 postseason. That was the last time the Yankees made it to the World Series. That's a long time ago. And Yankee fans are justifiably getting frustrated that it's taking this long. Now, this could be a great year. I don't want to be all negative. This could be a great year. There's a lot of good things about the Yankees. If Rodon comes back, if Cole keeps pitching well, if Nestor Cortez stays healthy, if Severino can come back, if Harrison Bader can come back, Judge is great. I'm happy they have Anthony Volpe at shortstop. They have to just let him play. Gleyber Torres looks great. I think Anthony Rizzo is great. Not as high on Giancarlo Stanton anymore. I was all in favor of that trade, though. I'm not the type to say I wasn't in favor of that. Yes, I was. Go back and start spreading the news. I was big time on that. I thought that meant the Yankees were back. So there's a lot to be excited about, but there's also a lot to be concerned about because the Yankees sometimes make deals and trades and act almost like a small market club. Let's get this castaway, Franchy Cordero. He might end up being great. Let's get this castaway, Matt Carpenter. He ended up being great till he got hurt. Let's get this castaway, this really talented center fielder guy who can't stay healthy. Instead of going out and using their strength, their biggest strength, their financial strength to get the best players. And I've talked about this too. I'm thrilled the Yankees re-signed Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge needs to be a lifelong career Yankee. Absolutely. But once the Yankees signed him, they had to say, we have to be willing, because they're paying him $40 million a year. That's a ton of money. We have to be willing to say that those luxury tax caps are not going to define this team. And yet, by all accounts, one reason the Yankees haven't addressed some of these concerns is because they don't want to go over the next tier of the cap, which by definition means that Aaron Judge's salary is impacting negatively in this way on the ability of the Yankees to put the best team on the field. Aaron Judge's salary is eating such a big part of the Yankees' overall salary structure. And because they're unwilling to go over that next level of the luxury tax tier, it's Aaron Judge's salary, which is the biggest part of the Yankees' financial commitments, which is impacting on their ability to get the necessary players to have the best possible team. People say to me, that's not true. That's not true. They are spending. Yes, they are spending to a point. And if they don't go over that number, the biggest amount of that spending to get to that point is Aaron Judge, which means by definition, that's salary that they're paying Aaron Judge. And I'm thrilled he's a Yankee. He needs to be a Yankee forever. But that salary they're paying Aaron Judge is, in this regard, getting in the way of them having the best possible team on the field. Think of it this way. You go to a laundromat and you have a big laundry basket full of clothes. There are two machines there. There's the big heavy-duty machine, and then there's the standard size washing machine. And you, in addition to your basket of clothes, or in that basket of clothes, you have a heavy jacket or a blanket or a tablecloth or something bulky. And you start to load up the little machine. You say, I'm only willing to spend to a point. I'm going to load up the little machine. If you take that bulky item, Aaron Judge's salary, and you put it in the little machine, some of the other clothes that you had aren't going to fit. You can't fully address all your needs because you have this big bulky thing taking up much of the space. Now, you could take everything out and go to the heavy duty machine, spend more money, go over that next level. But if you're unwilling to go over that next level, the reason everything can't get cleaned is because of that big bulky thing that you're insisting has to get cleaned. So you make a decision. Well, some of these things aren't that dirty. So we'll take a flyer on a long shot candidate. That's the analogy. Aaron Judge is that big bulky thing. Once you paid for that big bulky thing, once you decide that tablecloth or that jacket has to be cleaned along with the rest of your wash, you have to be willing to go to the next level machine, the heavy duty machine. You have to be willing to go over the salary cap, the next level of the luxury tax, which acts as a salary cap. Make sense? The Yankees have the financial wherewithal to do that. And if they would do that, I think you would find that they would be a lot more successful. They wouldn't be 4-3 and 2-3 in starts that Garrett Cole hasn't made. Let's talk about some other great stuff. This half hour goes much too quickly. The Roy White book. Oh my goodness. It comes out on Tuesday. It's a beauty. Everybody who has given me feedback on this book has said it's amazing. They thanked me. They've said it's amazing. Roy White feels it's amazing. If you go to Start Spreading the News, today at 10, there's a great preview of Roy White's appearance on the Boomer Esiason National Show. Tomorrow, we'll have that entire program on Start Spreading the News for everyone to see. If you go to Start Spreading the News, there's a little banner up there that also says Paul Semendinger's appearances. This week, Roy White and I will be at Bookends in Ridgewood on the 12th. You get a chance to meet Roy White, get the book signed by him and me. His autograph's a bit more impressive than mine. Don't tell anybody. Get the book. You're going to love it. Well, I can't promise that, but I think you will. The feedback that's given to me is that you'll love it. It's a terrific book, and we are all excited because it comes out on Tuesday. You can still pre-order it I think it would then, if Amazon is true to how they operate most often, if you pre-order it today, it will come in the mail to you on Tuesday. Maybe it'll be Wednesday, but I'm telling you, from Compton to the Bronx, the Roy White story, you're going to enjoy reading it. Very proud of that book. If you haven't read The Least Among Them yet, the story of the 29 Yankees, whose entire career was the exact opposite of Roy White's. Roy White played for 15 years as a Yankee. These guys played for one game. This was recognized as one of the best books in 2001 by National Review magazine. Won numerous awards. In addition to telling the stories of those single players, this book also opens up many other stories about Yankees history. Again, the people who have read this have said, oh my goodness, we love it. And I'm also doing a number of book presentations on this in and around the northern New Jersey area. Go to Start Spreading the News and click that banner, and you can have a chance to meet me and hear me talk about these books. Of course, my book of essays, Impossible is an Illusion. It's motivating. It'll inspire you. It'll help make you a better you. And Scattering the Ashes, another award-winning book, a novel, a touching, warm, funny, sad story about a man and his son and the family and the son's struggle to find himself and understand who he is as he scatters his father's ashes in places that were meaningful to his father. It's just a wonderful, wonderful book. I just met somebody the other day who said, I read your book. I was laughing. I was crying. I couldn't put it down. One of the best novels ever. Take a look. All right, so the Yankees will finish their series with the Baltimore Orioles this weekend. If the Yankees go out and win a couple of games, then all of a sudden they've won another series. They've played 3 series. They've won 3 series. They're 6-3. They're rolling. That's what we want. If the Yankees lose a couple of games, oh my goodness, then they're 4-5, and it's, oh boy, here we go. I think it's so important that the Yankees get off to a quick start. Always. You want to get out to a quick start. I remember the 84 Tigers. They basically didn't lose for the first couple of months. What was it? 35-5 or something like that. And they went all the way to the World Series and won it. I mean, that's my dream. Win, win, win. Let's go, Yankees. Thank you for watching. I will be back. Oh, we got some comments here at the very end here. I'm sorry, I missed them. Hey, Rick, good to hear you. And he says they're now chasing the Rays. Are the Rays legitimate? It's a great question. They seem to be. I didn't pick them, but that's a team that always figures out ways to win. We don't have time to get into all of this, but the Yankees seem to figure out ways to lose. Right? When you watch the Yankees these last numbers of years, you're thinking, oh, why did they do that? That didn't seem to, what? And then they lose. Why did they play that guy and not, why did they send that guy from third? Why did they play the contact play? Why didn't he take the extra base? Why are they bunting there? Things like that. Like you go, The Rays seem to do the exact opposite. They seem to be a team that figures out ways to win. And one last comment from Rick. Thank you. I'll be ordering it. Loved. Rick, thank you so much. Loved your other books. If there's anything that means something to an author, I mean, we invest an unbelievable amount of time in writing our books. It doesn't happen quickly. Is when people tell you that they've enjoyed your books, loved your other books. I love that. Thank you, Rick. Hey, I'm going to be back here on the Mac and Jack Saturday Debate Show. I'll be there for only part of it today. I've been very busy these last numbers of weekends. Today, the Easter Bunny needs me to help him out, if you can read between the lines. So I need to be at my church at 10 a.m., but I'll be at the start of the Mac and Jack Saturday Debate Show. We'll see you there in just about a half an hour at 8 a.m. from 8 to 10. I'll see you at that show. Thanks for watching. This has been the Dr. Sem Show. Make today great. Enjoy.